All right, we are back for day 16 of the Sage Circle Alliance membership drive for charter members. And we are speaking with our founding members at this point. Hold on, let me turn off my electronic noisemaker here so I don't have to hear all that. So we're speaking this month with our founding members and just kind of getting a feel and getting an understanding and building excitement around what we are creating at the Sage Circle Alliance today. Well, wait a minute. I suppose I should introduce myself, right? My name is Meryl Fury. I am one of the co-founders of the Sage Circle Alliance. My other half, who is not here, is Paul Chatlin. He is the other co-founder. And together we have a vision to make the world a better, healthier, more wonderful place for all the living beings on the planet and the planet itself, because I honestly believe the planet is a living being that supports all the rest of us. So our goal is to make the world better, happier, more alive for everyone. So that's what one of the things we're about at the Sage Circle Alliance. And today we have the thrill, the honor, the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Sailesh Rao, who is founder of Climate Keepers.
Climate Healers.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Healers. Climate Healers, right?
Yes.
There it is, right there next to your name, Climate Healers. So we're going to be digging into a little bit different facet of planetary health today, because Dr. Rao is well known and well respected in the world of climate change and chaos and what we can do to slow it and reverse it. Yeah. Okay. So he just started telling me this story, which I want him to continue with. You're involved with something in Peru, a lawsuit.
Yes.
What is going on down there?
Well, a couple of students couldn't get vegan food at their university. And so they requested the university to give them access to vegan food because they cannot eat otherwise. And the university refused or did not respond to their letter at all. So they filed a lawsuit.
Wow.
And the judge has accepted the lawsuit. It's a constitutional case in Peru. And it is basically against the oldest university in the Americas, oldest continuously operating university in the Americas, the Universidad Nacional de San Marcos.
Okay.
UNSM, it's called.
Yeah. And the charge they're bringing forth is
that basically they're violating their constitutional right to healthy food and to their, they have an ethical practice of veganism and the university is not supporting it and so on. It's a very long lawsuit, a lot of elements to it. But I am writing a brief explaining why going vegan is so important for the environment. And so this is why students who want to go vegan have to be supported by educational institutions, which are supposedly preparing them for their future.
Right. It doesn't seem like such a difficult concept, does it?
It's not. Yeah. I mean, it is not. If you think about it, it's almost self-evident, I call it, because the industry, the animal agriculture industry, is one of the major industries that cuts down trees and replaces the trees not with other trees, but with grass.
Or cash crops or crops to
crop.
feed the animals, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're not replacing the trees with equivalent biodiversity and things like that.
Exactly. Right? And they're using up, 37% of the land just for grazing, another 6% for crops. And it's like they're using a substantial chunk of the ice-free land area of the planet in which there are hardly any trees left.
Right.
And so as a result, we over the last 10,000 years have cut half the trees on the planet.
It's appalling, isn't it? It's really shocking. Just so I work in schools mostly, right? And I teach children between they're elementary school kids for the most part. That's where we have easy access. So that's where we go, right? We go in, we get in where we fit in. So
Okay.
that's where we go, right? And this year we've been working with fourth and fifth graders. So let's say they average about 10 years old. Beautiful little, I just love these children. I just love them.
Right.
But this last month, we were doing a unit on the climate and on the earth, right? And the children, thank goodness, they have a wonderful classroom teacher who sort of supports what we're doing, even when we're not there. So I get in touch with her from the month before and I say, hey, it's April, it's Earth Month. Why don't we do something about the planet in particular? And we're going to we'll get information about the rainforest. And because the closest one to us, really, the big one is down in South America. So they did a lot of study on that. And, for us all to learn, because it was an education for me also,
Right.
That they're cutting down like a soccer field size area of land. I think they said once a minute it's going. And the Amazon rainforest at this point is the sort of square mileage wise, the size of the United States. So they're just, going in with heavy equipment and taking out all these trees. And it seems like it could go on forever, of course, if you've got that many trees in front of you and you're one person standing on the ground, it looks like you got trees in front of you forever. But the rate that we are going through trees and deforesting the land is appalling.
I know. But we are deforesting now, but we have deforested historically for the last 10,000 years.
Yes.
Right? So that's where the accumulation of this comes in. We have cut half the trees on the planet. There used to be 5 to 6 trillion trees, and now there are only 3 trillion trees left. Okay. But the good news is that if the world goes vegan and we restore the trees that we cut, we restore the ecosystems of the planet, that becomes our purpose as a species.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can literally reverse climate change.
Yes.
Right then and there. Why? Because the remaining 3 trillion trees, the 3 trillion trees that are still on the planet today, and the soil that they live on, are storing twice as much carbon as in the entire atmosphere, and 4 times as much carbon as in all the fossil fuels we have burned to date. It's an enormous store that's already there. And it's like saying, do you want to create the same thing with the other land that you're now using for animals?
Right.
If we do that, we can reverse it. Okay. This is not complicated to understand.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not, right? And people are trying to pretend that they don't know this.
Yes, it's fascinating, humans.
Yes. It's like a cow in the room. They don't want to look at this, this huge piece of land that's blank, that's, where we are growing supposedly, essential food for humans. And so here we are as vegans saying, no, it's not essential.
No, it's not. It's really not.
It really isn't.
It's super not essential.
Right. In fact, it's going to hurt you if you eat that stuff.
That's right.
And so it's win-win-win for everybody. Right?
Yes.
For the animals, for humans, for the planet. And don't we want a blue, green, beautiful planet? Or do you want a red, brown planet?
Yeah, scorched
on fire.
earth.
Yeah, scorched
earth.
Is that what we want?
Yeah.
We have to decide on that now. Our generation has to decide on that.
Yeah.
What is it that we want for our children and our grandchildren?
I totally agree with you, which is, why I prefer talking to children, actually, because they really understand and they don't have any vested interest in seeing the world up in flames all the time. They're not gaining any financial benefit from the practices as they are now. They're very clear that they are concerned about the climate and they're concerned about all these extreme weather events. Children are so level-headed, they're amazing, amazing. So I have a question, probably a million questions, but let me ask you this one. When I mean, we can see the condition the earth is in.
Mhm.
And even if, and I have some people in my close proximity who don't believe the world is getting warmer,
Mm.
right? Even in the face of that, and what I tell them is, okay, maybe it's not for you, but certainly the amount of trash floating around in the street is increasing.
Right.
Certainly the amount of plastic in the ocean is increasing.
Right.
Certainly the quality of the air is not getting any better, right? There's other
Right.
undeniable facts that we can point to. But when you hear somebody or you hear these things and you know that there are people who are making money, they are
Mhm.
invested literally in keeping things the way they are. What
Mhm.
do you think about that? What would you how would you fight that? How do you counteract that when you know
Well,
people are
it's
making
a system, right? It's a
money?
system. And I'm a systems engineer by profession. And I
Right.
say it's a system. A system is just a set of rules and games set around those rules and stories we tell. Like, it's every man for himself. That's a
Ah,
story. Right?
yes, yes, yes. That
Every
there's only a limited amount, and I'm going to get mine, and too bad you can't get yours. That one too.
Right, right.
Yes.
That's a story,
See?
right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
and that's why we are here, to grab as much as we can. That's a story we're telling. And here are the
Yes.
rules that you have to play by. If you grab it as a profit, we'll build statues for you. If you grab it on the way down, then we call you a thief and throw you in jail.
Ah,
So, so it's like, so we have designed this game so that it is bubbling up psychopathy. Okay, the game
mm,
itself is bubbling up psychopathy. So those who are
uh-huh.
psychopathic get elevated to higher
Yes.
and higher positions.
Yeah.
Now, if you are playing a game in which you are bubbling up psychopathy, you shouldn't then complain that there are psychopathic people on top,
Oh my gosh,
right?
that is so good. True. Yes. Yes. Right.
And we didn't design this game; we
Right.
inherited it.
Right. We were born into it. Exactly.
Yeah, we
Yes.
were born into it, right? And I'm saying, I mean, why are we still going along with what people did 100, 200
I-
years ago when they were still carrying around, walking around with slaves and all this? I mean, all this nonsense was going on then. Their consciousness was very, very low at that time,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So why are we still taking their ideas and running with it further and further? Don't we see that we're going to go over a cliff?
Right.
So it's that, when you see that you're going to go over a cliff and very, very soon, uh, it's a mark of intelligence to figure out why we are going over a cliff and to figure out how not to go over the cliff,
Right. Right.
right? That's a mark of intelligence.
Yeah.
So you say, okay, now that we know it's a system that's doing it, it's bubbling up psychopathy, how do we create a new system
Yeah.
that's about health,
Yeah.
not diseases?
Right.
Okay, that's about regeneration, not destruction of the planet. And it's about happiness, true happiness, as opposed to misery, because we are supposed to be the land where everyone is pursuing happiness in the
Oh,
best way possible, right? Pursuit of happiness is built in to our
yes.
DNA. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
then how come on this land where everyone is pursuing happiness, almost half the people are on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications and illegal drugs on a daily basis?
Yeah. And otherwise medicated
Medicated.
or not. Yeah.
So clearly the pursuit of happiness is not going very well, right?
Mhm.
And I say, well, if it's not going very well in America, and America is then imposing the American way of life around the world,
Mhm.
because we're all making money off of it,
Right.
persuading other people to eat pizza and burgers.
And
That's
yes.
what we're doing now, right? So that they
Yes.
all get the same medication that we are getting here. You know, uh, it's so why are we going and imposing the American way of life on everybody else when we should be changing our way of life here, right?
Yeah.
And so, uh, I mean, clearly we are not accomplishing what we set out to do in 1776. We are going careening over a cliff at the moment. I say, let's figure this out together. What does it take to create a system around health and happiness, true happiness, and harmony with nature? And I think that's where we need to be putting our energy. And that's what we talk about. It's how do you solve the problem? And what is the new game we need to be playing? Okay. So imagine a game where everybody gets a universal basic income. Okay. Basic income so that you can at least eat enough food and survive. And you can get a roof over your head and survive. Okay. Then we ask you, how do you want to contribute for the well-being of the whole? So everybody wants this to happen. If you look at the UN has all these sustainable development goals, right? They have no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. All these are great goals. So everybody wants to meet these goals, but then they're just growing the economy because there is a goal that got stuck in there called economic growth as goal number 8 in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm saying, why is that goal there? If we have zero hunger, if we have no poverty, and if you have good health and well-being, do you care that some GDP is growing?
Right.
I mean, who cares?
Right.
So why is that there? Well, it's there so that everybody can pretend to meet all the other goals by just growing the economy. And I'm saying that's a Trojan horse.
Yes.
I don't want Trojan horses in any system design. I don't want Trojan horses. I want to really solve the problem. So if you ask an engineer, here are these 17 sustainable development goals, how would you implement them? I would say take one goal and meet it. If your deadline is to meet everything by 2030, I say meet one goal by 2025. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people are going to say this is a fake.
Right.
They're not going to pay attention to it. And throw away these redundant goals, like goal number 8, economic growth. That's not a goal. It's an outcome. If it happens, it's an outcome.
Yeah.
It's not a goal. It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be your main focus, is to grow the economy.
Right.
And the reason it's the main focus to grow the economy is that we are running a Ponzi scheme.
So tell us more about that.
Well, it's a Ponzi. The entire currency system is designed as a Ponzi scheme. That's the main game we are playing is the game of money. Okay. Now you ask, how is new money created in the game of money? New money is created always in the form of loans. Okay, so you have to go put a collateral to a bank and say, give me a loan for this, and they'll give you a loan, and they'll say, give us back the money we gave you within 2 years, and give us back with interest. And you're now supposed to go out there and extract from the planet in order to return the money. Okay, so at any given point in time, there is more debt than money.
Okay.
In the system. And the money is being used to extract from the planet in order to return the debt. And when you return the debt, they create more debt. So it keeps growing, right? This is why they need economic growth. And if the growth stops, the entire thing collapses.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Because it's a Ponzi scheme we're running. Any Ponzi schemes, as soon as it stops growing, collapses.
Wow.
And I'm saying, why are we still playing the same Ponzi scheme that was started in the 15th or 16th century by a bunch of, shareholders in the English East India Company? I mean, what are we doing?
Right.
This is the kind of stuff that was cooked up a while ago. And the Bretton Woods arrangement, after the end of World War II, just cemented it and made it worse for everybody.
Yes.
Okay? And made America the boss of the empire, so to speak.
Right.
And everybody has to get dollars in order to buy oil. So everyone gets stuck in the same game, even though they have their own currency, because they have to then get dollars. How do you get dollars? Well, you have to exchange your currency for dollars. And if you don't play the same game, your currency is going to go down the tubes.
Right.
Okay. So this is how the Western countries maintain colonialism while pretending to give everybody independence. Okay, fine. That's what happened then. Why are we still doing it now?
Right.
when there are so many fires on this planet? Okay, so we've got, there are 6 different planetary boundary transgressions.
Yes.
Okay, 6 of them. Climate change is only the 4th worst. It's not even the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, climate change is like the fever that the Earth has.
Right.
She
Right.
also has, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer.
Right.
She
Right.
also has those 3.
Never
And
mind. She's going bald and she's got rashes.
exactly. Hey, that's a good one. Because that's the other 2, the water use and the land use. Because the
Right.
6 planetary boundary transgressions are loss of biodiversity, which is what I call heart disease, because we are
Okay.
losing those we love,
Yeah.
the wild animals. We are losing them.
Yes.
So that's a heart disease. And then we have chemical pollution, which is
Yeah.
number 2,
What would you call
which
that?
that's the cancer.
Okay.
That's the cancer. And then we have nitrogen and phosphorus excess loading. I
Mm-hmm.
call that the diabetes, because it is literally, poisoning the ocean
Uh-huh.
and preventing the cleaning up from happening then.
Uh-huh.
And then we have climate change, which is what I call the fever. And then we have excessive land use, which is what you call the rashes.
Yes.
And then we have excessive water use for ourselves. Okay, I don't know what you want to call that. What did you
I
say
think
that
that's
was?
a hemorrhage.
Average. Okay. So this is what the planet has. And all 6 of these have exceeded the boundary. And what that means is that if you leave it there, it's going to kill all life on Earth just
Mm.
by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to address these 6 issues that the planet has. And there is one thing you could do that would address all of them,
Mm.
which is to
And
go vegan.
yeah.
All of us go vegan, and suddenly, you'll return 40% of the land back to nature, on which you can bring back the original forest that used to be there. And by doing that, you bring back the biodiversity, you give them a place to live, right? You
Mm.
also stop fishing in the ocean. So that means that 80%, 70% of the Earth's surface gets returned back to nature,
Mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you're not fishing anymore.
Right.
And then the other 40% of the land will be another 9%. So which is like 80% of the Earth's surface. You can say we don't need it anymore. Nature can help regenerate it.
Yeah.
And in some places, we may have to go and help her, because we have poured all this pollution
That's
on
right.
it too.
That's
Okay.
right.
So we have to then clean up the mess we have made, okay, for the chemical, all the plastic and the huge amounts of trash that we have in landfills.
Yeah.
All of that, we need to figure out how to clean that up so that wild animals can live there. Okay. And that becomes our purpose. We are collaborating in order to put out the fires on the planet.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 questions.
Hmm.
Okay. Can I call you Sailesh?
Yes, please.
Okay. Wonderful. I have lots of questions all the time.
Sure,
So
sure.
just to make sure I'm respectful of your time, it is about 24 minutes after the hour. Do you have time for a couple more?
Yeah, of course. Of
Okay,
course.
beautiful. Okay. So even if everybody went vegan, this is what I notice, right? If everybody went vegan, and okay, so I'm a nurse by education and by practice, right? You can go vegan and still eat some pretty horrible food,
Right.
right? You could live off Twizzlers
Potato
and
chips.
Oreos and potato chips a long time. Fritos, have at it, right? You could, drink beer every day, whatever it is, right?
Right. Right.
Lots of not such great stuff made from plants.
Mhm.
So, and along with that, a lot of that stuff is also in plastic packages,
Right.
right? And it's got lots of chemicals added and stuff. So even if everybody went vegan, it could still very much mean a whole lot of plastic and extra trash, extra chemicals
Right.
in the system. What would you say would be a way to push back against that?
Right. So I say that if you're going vegan for ethical reasons, that's what veganism is. It's an ethical stance, right? That we want to minimize harm to animals. Okay. First of all, I want us to recognize that humans are also animals. So you have to minimize harm to humans as well if you have a vegan stance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are an animal. So you have to have compassion for yourself as well.
Yes.
So take care of your health first,
Mm.
because you're useless as a warrior for the planet
That's
if
right.
you're sick.
Right.
So I say getting humans to become healthy is the first oxygen mask we're putting on ourselves.
Yes.
And then we go out and help the animals, help the planet, recover the planet, because this is our planet. It was a gift that was given to us, a place to live in that has all these amazing life support systems, okay, that we have been messing with. And we have now messed them up to a point where it's threatening to kill all life as we know it.
Right.
And the only species that can fix this is us, because we are the ones who are causing it.
That's right.
So I say that you now have a purpose. You now have superpower. You're a superhero, but you have to become healthy first in order to become a superhero, because otherwise you're going to be a burden on the rest of us, because we have to give you the hospitals you need, the medication you need, and all that. Right?
Right.
So get healthy first. And I say this is I have these 7 strategic actions
Okay.
that I talk about, right?
I'm taking notes. Go ahead.
The first is education, exactly what you're doing. Education, education, education. That's the number one action.
Right.
Number 2 is to get humans to become healthy. That's the oxygen mask rule.
Uh-huh.
And for that, I say there are 8 healing actions that we all need to be doing, and I can go into that later. But
Uh-huh.
that's so it's a whole system health. Starts with human health, because that's the oxygen mask rule. Number 2. Number 3 is to convince the UN to drop goal number 8, the economic growth, and to add goal number 18, which is zero animal exploitation. Okay. So in our presentations, we have the same 17 SDGs picture, but instead of 8, it became 18.
Okay.
Right? And I
Yeah.
say that now becomes a genuine set of goals that we can all be working towards with integrity, not by pretending, okay, with integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm claiming that as long as we have goal number 8, we have a Trojan horse in the goals.
Yeah, we have no integrity.
No
We're
integrity,
out of
yeah,
integrity. Yeah.
out of integrity.
Yeah.
And then number 4, fourth action is to create a vegan constitution for the planet.
Oh, tell us a
Okay.
little more about that.
Actually, it's already being done. Okay. There is a website called codes.earth. Codes.earth. It's called
CODES.
CODES
Mm-hmm.
.earth. And it's called Codes for a Healthy Earth,
Okay.
where Dr. Shelley Ostroff, basically imagined what would happen if we were really trying to protect the Earth. How would we
Mm-hmm.
how would we govern ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
So it's called eco governance, and so
Okay.
she's done some. I mean, other people have done good work on that. So we need to figure out what this. So my main thing is we need to start creating a vegan constitution
Mm-hmm.
for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
How do we govern ourselves with the objective to restore the planet?
Mm.
So anytime you have an objective that is larger than yourself, we collaborate. Okay, as human beings, we collaborate.
Yeah.
If we have the objective of grabbing as much as you can for yourself, we compete.
That's right.
So we have to move from this competitive system to a collaborative system, which means you have to have a common objective, which is restoring the planet. So that's the constitution, vegan constitution. And that's the fourth one. And the fifth
Yes.
one is vegan donut economics.
Vegan donut.
Economics.
Okay.
Donut meaning no one is in the hole in the middle. No poverty. Okay. It's
Okay.
part of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. No
Okay.
poverty, zero hunger. All that is part of the vegan donut.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no one in the hole. And then we don't go outside the boundaries of the planet. That's why it's a donut.
A donut. Okay.
So how do you create an economy in which we are staying within the donut? So that's vegan donut economics that we need to create and implement. The work is already being done. Okay? Kate Raworth wrote a book on this called Donut Economics, and then she went vegan too. So
Yeah, good for her.
yeah, good for her.
That always helps if you're
Always helps, yeah.
walking the walk while you're talking the
Yeah.
talk, huh?
And the number sixth action is vegan rewilding of the planet.
Yeah.
Okay, so the vegan communities that go and recreate forests that used to be there. So there is an organization called Sadhana Forest in India. They're in India, Kenya, Haiti, and they basically implement this objective, which is restore the original ecosystem that used to be there. Figure out what trees were there, what plants were there, and plant them back so that the wild animals come back. Okay, and so we have to do that on a lot of the planet.
Yeah.
Okay, throughout the planet. So that's the vegan rewilding project that we need to do. Number 6, and number 7 is vegan spirituality.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Hmm.
What does that mean?
It means bringing the religions together around this common objective of restoring the ecosystems of the planet, around restoring nature, and understand that we are all talking about compassion for all beings. Okay. And so just because we named God differently doesn't mean we are different,
That's right.
right?
Correct.
There's no name and form in our opinion to God, right?
Right. Right.
So we are fighting over
Well, we
labels.
have our different languages. That's what
Right.
right?
Languages, labels, we have different
Yeah.
labels.
Yeah.
But the message is all the same. It's
Yeah.
compassion for all beings. So we did a movie called Prayer for Compassion,
Yeah.
in which we talked to a lot of different faith leaders, and we reached the conclusion that they're all talking about compassion for all beings.
So just not long ago,
Mm.
I saw the movie Christspiracy.
Right.
Now, I'll warn you right up front. I never went to church as a child, really. My father forbid us to go to church. Okay. So I am anywhere from pagan to heathen to unchurched to whatever else you want to call that. My
Right.
chosen spiritual philosophy, I'll say, is Buddhist. So I'm good, right? It's a very comfortable place for me to be. But the movie Christspiracy, I was really surprised at the way they put together animal sacrifice and how persistent, pervasive it is across the major religions. When people think of religion, they think of like the top 5, whatever.
Right.
I was surprised at that. I never thought about what that it just never occurred to me. But then I don't really go to church, so. But I think that's important to come up with a spiritual position on the sovereignty, I'm going to call it, of all living things.
Right.
That's I think that's gotta happen almost, because at least what I understand of some of the Bible-based religions, there's this concept, and it might be in other religions too. You tell me, you probably know more than I do. There's this concept that humans are somewhat superior and have dominion over everything else, right?
Right.
That's what's written in so many ways, in so many books.
Right.
And people take that meaning, that word dominion, and take it to mean we have the ultimate say over what lives and what dies, and what's good and what's bad, and what we can use and what we don't use, right? And what we keep as sacred and what we think is vile. Right? And if we don't have some kind of a spiritual agreement about that, then what we have is a spiritual validation of the opposite.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's something. That is really something. In
Yeah.
the line of Buddhism, can I say, that I've spent the most time in, we're vegan. We don't take, we do no harm. We don't take animal life, and that's
Right.
it works well for me. That's one reason it works well for me.
Right.
It is something to think about the impact that religious beliefs have on our non-human relatives.
Yeah, I mean, my thesis, and I don't know, I don't have um, any way to back it up or anything like that. This is my guess,
Mm.
is that religion was a way for the community to regulate
Yes.
how animals were killed, how
Ah,
many animals were killed, and how they were killed, right? So
ah,
that it's not a free for all, that you just destroy the whole thing. So you have to come to a place, and the priest has to say, okay, now you can kill this, and he will bless the sacrifice, whatever. So
ah,
this way, there was a way to regulate the animal killing. Okay. And that's how it started, I think. And then it just went out of hand.
yeah.
Okay. And
Want to hear
religion,
something even crazier? Okay, don't forget your point. Cross your
right.
fingers. Don't forget. Um, just a couple weeks ago, like I said, okay, I'm a heathen, pagan, unchurched.
Mhm.
I'm go all over the place. I have no boundaries really about a lot of it.
Right.
Doesn't matter to me. Um, but I wound up a couple weeks ago at a women's retreat, which was Wiccan. So witches, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there was a woman giving a talk about how animal sacrifice started.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know how she knows this, where the research came from, but her premise was that for a long, long time, women were seen as sacred. We were sacred vessels, right? We give
Mhm.
life. We're amazing. We could feed the life.
Right.
We had all these healing secrets, right? We carried the wisdom
Right.
and all this. Um, and the way she put it was, women were she who bleeds but does not die.
Mhm.
Right. So every month the woman sloughs off the lining of the uterus. We bleed. We don't die. We come back the next day. We're fine. Right. We just keep going. Right.
Right.
Um, and that the animal sacrifice and actually human sacrifice came about because back so many thousands of years ago, the males of the species were like, well, we want to be able to do that too. We want to be able to let blood and not have things die, right?
Mhm.
And that is where some of the sacrificial practices started. The bleeding and hoping things wouldn't die. But unfortunately, a lot of times people did die or the animals did die.
Mhm.
Sorry, a little bit off base, but very interesting to consider. What is that about, right?
Right.
So when you talk about religion being a way to sort of monitor or manage the sacrificing of animals, that's where I
Right.
interrupted you. Please continue.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's no longer appropriate for our times, that we don't need to sacrifice anymore, because we all have access to healthy plant foods. You know, we can make sure that everyone has access to healthy plant food. So really don't need to use animals anymore for that purpose. And and they obviously don't enjoy it. This is why they had to be regulated, right?
Hmm.
And during times of famine, yeah, it's okay. You know,
You're right.
but if you cannot eat what the animals are eating,
Right.
it's okay. So maybe it was given us a temporary permission to do this, but now that we have the technology to grow plant foods everywhere, and we can transport it from place to place, which we didn't have before. We have refrigeration, so which means we can keep the plant foods a lot longer than they would have spoiled otherwise. So all of these things have come together at the right time for us to create a vegan world. Okay, a world in which we can truly be compassionate to all beings, and we don't ever have to make our children cry when they discover that we are killing their best friends.
Yeah.
We don't ever have to do that to
Yeah.
children anymore. Okay,
Right.
I said that's the world I want to create, because that is what is seared in my mind. My granddaughter crying, you know, uncontrollably sobbing because she discovered that we were killing her relatives.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and we don't need to make children do that anymore, okay, as
No.
a species. And I'm
Yeah.
saying, why don't we create a society like that? And that's a great system design project that I would love to be involved in, and that I'm already working on that, right? But
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
that would be quite a country to live in, a continent
That's
to live on, a whole world, right?
right. It's
I
a
was thinking about that last night. So as I go into these classrooms and I work with these kids, and they're so beautiful.
right.
They are thrilled to be able to plant cherry tomatoes or peppers
Mhm.
or
Right.
Swiss chard or whatever they're planting, parsley, I
Right.
don't know, whatever they're planting. They're thrilled to be able to plant it, and they have no hesitation about picking a cherry tomato off and eating it right off the bush,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a complete, like, automatic. Oh, I want to try that. A strawberry. Who argues with strawberries unless you're allergic to them? You just go right for them, right? Cherries, any of that. I have not yet seen a child who wants to catch a mouse in a trap and eat it right then.
Right.
I have never seen that. Or to see a bird out in the yard and chase the bird with the intent of grabbing it and ripping its head off and
Right.
consuming it. That doesn't happen. So to me, it's like, okay, if we could look at the purest of our people, which are our children, they're the
Mhm.
purest, right? Before they get damaged by society,
Right.
that is how they are. They
Yeah.
are about the fruits and the vegetables and the nuts and the seeds. They're not about trying to jump on a cow's neck and choke it with a pair of pantyhose. That is not what they're trying to do, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, can we not let them be
Right.
that way without having to condition them?
Right.
This conditioning was necessary when we were in cold climates and you had to eventually eat some animals during winter or something like that. Maybe that's why they did all this conditioning, but it's no longer necessary,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I say that's when we recognize that and we have the intelligence to actually implement that, and then we will have a planet that thrives, and we will thrive with the planet. Okay,
Right.
and it will be a thriving planet for our children,
Right.
and our children no longer have to be traumatized. And I said, I mean, it's just a. So this is when you put out this fire, these 6 fires,
Yeah.
okay, on the outside, you automatically put them out inside as well.
Yeah. Was there an eighth thing that
Act-
you?
in the actions, no, I
Yes,
only had 7 actions.
7 actions, but there were 8 about getting humans to become healthy. Was that what it is?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Can we
Yeah.
go back to that? I'm
No, they.
seriously taking notes,
Oh, sure.
Sailesh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the 8 actions, the 8 healing actions,
Yes.
they are the opposite of the 8 risky behaviors
Ah,
that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine identified
okay.
last year.
Okay.
So basically, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine said that uh, poor diet is the
Yeah.
number one risky behavior.
Yeah.
So it is um, number 2 is lack of exercise, physical inactivity.
Yeah.
Number 3 is smoking.
Okay.
Number 4 is lack of health screening.
Oh, okay.
Number 5 is poor stress management. Number 6 is insufficient sleep. Number 7 is poor standard of care.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm running
Yeah.
behind. Stress management. What was the
Okay.
last one?
Number 6 is insufficient sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is poor standard of care.
Poor standard of care.
I mean, you go to a hospital and you get killed because the doctor is
Well,
checking
yes,
you.
there's that. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
And excessive alcohol consumption is the number 8.
Okay.
Okay. And the ACLM had done a study showing that 90% of the healthcare costs in the world are caused by these 8 risky behaviors. Okay. And Dr. McDougall actually told me more than half of that is from poor diet alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He told me that. So I said, okay, now you take these 8 risky behaviors and you just flip them around. So from poor diet, it has to be a healthy vegan diet.
Yeah.
Okay, number 1. From physical inactivity, it has to be regular exercise and yoga. I call it yoga,
Okay.
regular exercise. From smoking, the opposite is conscious breathing.
Okay. I was going to say not smoking.
No, conscious breathing, pranayama, knowing that what's going through your nose is actually nourishing you. Right?
Yeah.
It's called pranayama in
Yes.
Sanskrit. And then from lack of health screening, number 4, to regular health routines. Do the same thing once a day, do your exercise every day, do your pranayama every day, that sort of thing. So regular health routines. From poor stress management, it is meditation and awareness. That's the opposite. Okay. And if you do that, instead of insufficient sleep, you'll have adequate rest and sleep. Number 6, automatically. And then from poor standard of care, the opposite is a sense of purpose. And then from excessive alcohol consumption, the opposite is contact with nature. Because alcohol consumption, only drug consumption happens from disconnection, from a sense of separation. I say you need to consciously come into contact with nature. Okay, so that's the 8 healing actions, I call it. And if we make that routine in schools, in families, we'll have a healthy society. Okay, we won't need that many hospitals. So it's going to change the entire system. I agree, but it's to change the system. It's about changing the game. So you have to create a game around health, not a game around diseases, which is what we have today. Right?
Yes, right.
So it's becoming like obvious that that's what's going on, and everybody's saying, "Come on, guys, can't we do something better than this?"
Right? Come on, this is boring now. So bad.
Yeah.
It's a lousy game, right?
Right.
Lousy game. There's only one set of people that win all the time, and everybody
Right.
else loses, right?
We are going to take our marbles and go elsewhere.
Right? Right? Exactly.
Play a game of health. Right?
That's right. Where the game isn't you're automatically going to lose, right?
Right.
No, that's not a good game to play.
Yeah.
So you were saying before about, and I agree completely. It's too big of a job for one person to do alone, right?
Right.
Not even 20 people, not even 100 people working very hard all night long can turn the tide on what's happening, right? So if you could collaborate with anybody of any set of people, I'm not going to say any one individual, any set of people or any type of person, who would you love to collaborate with?
I would love to collaborate with all retired professionals, engineers, doctors, who are all retired, who are looking at the rest of their life, in retirement. And I'm saying, let's all collaborate in this major infrastructure upgrade for the planet. It's an infrastructure upgrade. Okay, so we're going to build an infrastructure of health. We have to design it first. Okay? You have to imagine it first. And I would love to work with my fellow engineers on all the processes that we have that are causing all these problems now. And I say, can we not create processes in which there is no major outcome like this, where it's polluting everything? I mean, why would we create something like that? So I say it's all the people who are retired should get together and say, we are now going to take care of our children and grandchildren by creating this new system. Okay, it's like the moon landing project. It's like a moon, but for the whole planet, right?
Right.
It's an Earth landing project.
Yeah,
Earth regeneration project.
Yeah,
that's who I would collaborate with, and I'd say, put everything on the table. Don't say American way of life is not negotiable, because that's how it all started. This mess that we are in. Pretending that everybody has to eat burgers and fries.
Yes,
around the world,
and it has to be inexpensive.
Right.
Yeah. So we subsidize the burger and fry industry, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, when we start, when we work diligently on a project like that with integrity, we will solve the problem, because it's not that hard to figure out. Now, there are so many scientists who have said that, solving this is not a hard problem. We need the political will to solve it. So all of us need to have that political will. All of us need to demand that political will. Okay, we need to go and demand, hey, why is the temperature getting worse and worse every year? If you don't believe in the temperature getting worse and worse every year, say, why are wild animals disappearing every year?
Right. Or why is there so much plastic in the ocean?
Exactly.
Wherever, right?
Yeah. Why do I see more and more, pollution around me?
Right.
So whatever it is, we know that things are going in the wrong direction.
Right.
So, I mean, if you ask, we did a survey of people asking, are things better off today than they were when you were a child? Then a lot of people will say no. I mean, our children are hearing horror stories in school
Yeah.
about climate change and in the environment.
Yeah.
And there is a drumbeat of war going on. There's uh, so many wars going on, and then more and more wars are going to happen. I mean, they're not preparing us to die off. And I'm saying I'm not interested in that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
for sure, I'm going to bring it back to our Sage Circle Alliance. That is a big part of why we're here,
exactly.
because we can't do it alone. If Paul could have done it by himself, it would have happened by now, right? If
Mhm.
I could do it by myself, it would have happened by now.
Right.
Sailesh, if you could have done it, even with everybody that you collaborate with and talk to and support, it would have happened already, right? We have to work together. We have to.
Right.
I don't know how people can get up in the morning still thinking this old way, playing the old game, where there's this idea of scarcity and I have to protect mine and you can't have any. It's a zero sum game. I always think of those old movies, the John Wayne movies. Thank goodness they don't really play those anymore, I don't think. But the idea that he's the lone cowboy and he's got to fix it all by himself, and
Right.
pull himself up by his own bootstraps and cast his own shadow and ride off into the sunset on his great horse. Like, come on, that doesn't work. It hasn't worked.
Right.
The only way we can do it on such a thing, what did you say? Create a vegan constitution for the planet is what you were talking about. And you said the only way that we can do that and have it work is collaborate on a common objective.
Right.
That's it. I mean, we
That's it.
could just say that in 10 words or less, boom, we're done. That's the end.
Right.
I mean, it's not hard to understand.
Yeah.
It's really
And
not.
simple things like, a healthy food should be a basic human right.
Yes.
Why are we coming together as a society and writing constitutions if we can't even guarantee that?
Right. Or we're arguing after we write the Constitution, which is what happens here. We argue about how people should have the right to choose artificial sweeteners, flavors, dyes, preservatives. Why are we having that conversation? Why are this last couple years ago they were having an argument about taking menthol cigarettes, eliminating menthol cigarettes. And the pushback that came was that was discriminatory against Black people because Black people like menthol cigarettes. All I could think was, okay, now we've lost it.
Yeah.
We don't get much consideration a lot of the time, but you're going to consider our needs for menthol cigarettes? Really?
Right. Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know.
A crazy world. Crazy world.
But we can straighten it out.
Yes, we
So
can.
that's the thing, right? So this is what we do. Eventually, we are sort of going in this direction, and we just have to turn around, make a U-turn, a small U-turn,
That's right.
and then we'll reach our goal.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Well, it has been so great to talk to you. I have so enjoyed this conversation. Really.
Same here, Meryl.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Is there something else you would like to say before we wrap it up? Wait, one thing I do have to say. Here, let me do this because I would be remiss if I didn't do as I have been instructed. So, there is our website crawling along the bottom space there. If you have enjoyed this conversation or, you're a person who's engaged in planetary health, you want to make the world a better, healthier, happier, more viable place for any living beings,
Mhm.
please contact us at sagecirclealliance.org. There's a form there that you can fill out if you want to join. Look on the homepage, there's a couple buttons you can click. It says join us or become a member or different things like that. You can click those and fill them out and choose the level of membership that feels appropriate for you and get involved. We are here to make a difference on this planet. If there's a breath in my body, Sailesh, I'm going to keep saying that. We have to do better. We have to do different. It's not,
Right.
and it's not even that. It's not just better and it's not just different. We have to turn this whole paradigm on its head.
Right. Absolutely.
That's
And
it.
then we can do it. I mean, the only objection we'll get is from people like, you know, I mean, the rich people are going to say,
Yeah.
well, who's going to shine my shoes if
Well,
everybody
yes,
gets
correct.
basic income, right? That's the
Right, right.
thing.
They're going to be worried about their income.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not their income. It's just who's going to do things for me.
Mm,
And, but I think they will also benefit in the end when they have an objective to work towards,
yes.
right? Not just about uh, their own, you know, physical comforts.
Right, right. True. I
Yeah.
wonder sometimes, of course, all of us want to have enough money to be comfortable. Everybody wants to be able to feed their family. Everybody wants to be
Right.
able to keep the roof over their head and, have clothes and stay warm and things like that. Everybody wants that. Um, but I do wonder sometimes, like, okay, how many vacation homes does one person need?
No, no. See, that's the purposeless existence, right?
Right. That's just,
Purposeless existence. If you're going there in order to do something for the planet, see, the difference between someone who's working for others and someone who's looking out for just themselves,
mm,
it's just that those who are looking out just for themselves haven't understood that the pursuit of happiness is better accomplished when you're working for others. You're fundamentally happier
yeah.
when you start working for others. Okay, it's just knowledge, right? Once you have that knowledge, you say, why are you doing that, man?
Right.
If you're just looking out for yourself, you're going to be miserable
Right.
because you always get the opposite.
Mm.
So we tell the story of the wishing tree, which
Go ahead.
do you
Tell
have
the
a
story.
do you have time for that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the story is the equivalent of the knowledge tree story in the Bible,
Okay.
about Adam and Eve story in the Bible, but it's from the Hindu tradition and the Jain tradition, the Dharmic traditions.
Nice.
So it's a story with children playing with sticks and stones
Uh-huh.
and rag dolls on the floor of their hut in the middle of the forest. And their uncle comes to visit them. And the uncle says, why are you playing with sticks and stones when the wishing tree is right outside your hut? So go out under the tree and wish for anything you want, and it'll give it to you. Then you can be playing with real toys instead of these trifles. The children don't believe him. How can there be a tree like this? So they wait until the uncle leaves, and then they rush to the tree and they start wishing. They wish for sweets, and they get them. And they gorge on the trees and they get sweets and they get stomachache. They wish for toys and they get them. And they play with the toys and they get bored. Then they wish for fancier toys. And that leads to greater boredom. So there was something about this tree that they did not understand. It grants you what you wish for, and along with it comes the exact opposite. Because that's how the universe is built, of dualities. Nothing comes separate by itself. The children didn't know that. All they knew is that they couldn't stop wishing under the tree, and the more they wished, the more miserable they were. Then they get to be young men and women, and now they're wishing for what young men and women wish for. The four main fruits of the tree were sex, fame, money, and power.
Mm.
And the result was more misery and suffering for the young men and women. Then they get to be old men and women. And now they congregate under the tree in three different groups. The first group says, we were so happy when we didn't know about this tree. So this has all been a hoax and a farce. And the story says they were fools, but they hadn't understood the tree. The second group says, we must have been wishing for all the wrong things. If we could go back and wish for different things, I'm sure we'd have been a lot happier. And the story says they were bigger fools, for they'd understood less than nothing about this tree. And the third group was the most foolish of the lot, where they come under the tree and they say, "We are so miserable, we wish we were dead." And the tree grants them the wish. And they're immediately reborn underneath the same tree, because the tree always grants wishes in dualities. This is how they introduced the concept of reincarnation, by the way. Then it doesn't stop there. The story goes on to talk about a lame child who also wanted to go out and wish for a good leg so he could walk. But there was such a crowd of people under the tree that he couldn't get through. So he stood there at the window of the hut, watching what was happening under the tree. And he saw how the tree was making everybody miserable. The people who were wishing were miserable. People who were trying to get to the tree were miserable. All the animals were suffering because of all the wishing. And then he had a brilliant flash of insight. He understood the tree. And with that understanding, he began to feel a well of compassion come from within him for all the suffering under the tree. And he lost the desire to wish. He was perfectly happy with his leg as it was. And with that, he was the happiest of the lot.
Wow.
So that's where the story ends, right? And then we have the Upanishads, where they explain to you what they taught you in the Vedas. So in one of the Upanishads, they say that wishing child and watching child are inside each one of us. And the purpose of meditation is to be in alignment with your watching child, and to observe your own wishing child. Okay, and to observe other children around you with compassion and detachment. Okay, so it makes it seem like if you want to be happy, you need to be separate from the universe and observe as opposed to participate in it. And this is the question that comes up in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the discourse between man and God. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the warrior goes to God and says, "Why should I wish under this tree?" So you are God, you take care of the problem, right? And God says, "How do I think I do it? Through you." And then he taught him how to wish. He said, "You go under the tree and you wish for the benefit of everyone else." And he said, "I don't want anything from this tree for myself." So you become detached from the results of your actions. So you're wishing for the benefit of everyone else. And you're saying, "I don't want anything for myself." Then you'll be perfectly happy wishing under the tree, because there'll be no consequences for you. You won't get the opposites. You'll only be doing good for others. Okay? So then if everyone does that under the tree, everybody will be happy, okay? Including the animals. So as a species, we should be wishing for the benefit of every other species.
Right?
And that is what I'm proposing that we do now.
Ugh.
When we start regenerating the ecosystems for other beings, we are serving others. We are serving other species. That will fundamentally make us a much, much happier society as human society. Anyway, you had tears. I love you, Meryl.
That's beautiful. Sorry. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Meryl.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Oh my goodness. That was a beautiful story. All the versions of it, all the pieces put together. Thank you so much. Okay, stop crying now. Oh my goodness. Sailesh, this has just been a lovely, lovely experience to speak with you like this, and for you to
Same
share
here.
what's so important to you.
Same here.
I couldn't ask for a better noonday conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I should have brought my tissues.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay. On that note, I will invite everyone to spend time with us every day this month at 1:00. We never know what amazing conversations might develop and what knowledge could get handed us in the form of a beautiful, beautiful story like that. So our Facebook stuff is scrolling along the bottom. Let me say that before anybody comments on how I didn't stick to my job. Oh my goodness. What we're here for is all about health, compassion, and saving the planet. And
Right.
I couldn't ask for, I'm going to say a better partner in that than Dr. Sailesh Rao. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, you guys, we're signing off, and I'm going to go find some tissues.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. I will speak with you again soon, I'm sure.
Certainly.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.